Title of the video is Bad News After Jasmine Crockett Sent Threats to Trump. But I have to look at this right here. I want to talk about this. This inspires me, and I have an answer for her, and I'm going to make another video probably for Facebook based on her question. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Everything that he has been doing.
Context now. Are you happy that you voted for Donald Trump?
Are you happy that you voted for Trump? Now that you see everything that he has been doing, do you feel bad that you voted for him?
No, not me.
Not me.
How about you?
A lot of people warned me about voting for Trump, but I did not listen. I even lost some of my friends and family over the election.
Yep.
I am so glad
She's so glad
that I did not listen. I have no regrets. This is what I voted for. You remember you liberals like to ask, this is what you voted for. Exactly. This is what I voted for. And what is there not to like about everything Trump has been doing? The fact that he's handling the immigration crisis we had in this country, DEI, or uncovering the corruption that has been going on in our country.
That's right.
I feel very proud of myself and for everyone that voted for Trump. It took a non-politician like Trump to show us how foolish we all have been to blindly trust our government. I used to hear charity begins at home. Some of you might know that saying. But obviously, for the corrupt government that we have been dealing with, charity begins overseas. That is why we have a lot of Americans struggling. Meanwhile, we're sending all this money, taxpayer money, overseas. So yes, no regrets at all. I am very glad I voted for Trump. I'm sure you guys are. I don't want to speak for anybody. Are you glad you voted for Trump? Because I am.
Very much so. Very much so. Glad that I voted.
Okay, I'm going to let this play. I'm going to watch more of this after I get done talking to you. But I just got on here and I was going to watch the whole video, and then she said this, and it got me thinking. You know, there's three kinds of people. There's three kinds of people that are hating on Trump. Okay? Well, no, I take that back. There's three kinds of people in this pickle. Okay? The people that don't vote for Trump are two kinds of people. They're people that go all the way back in the day to a place to where, like me, but they go back at a time they grew up on the pagan, they grew up on the pagan side of things. If there's people around my age, and there's people older than me that are hating on Trump, and they come from a place where, number one, they are bound to the Democratic Party, and they think that, you know, when they got into politics, which they haven't always been in politics, just like me, they weren't always into politics. I didn't get into politics till around Bill Clinton. That's when I became a Republican, after, you know, the backlash that Bill Clinton was getting. And, you know, I was registered to vote, but I didn't really care about it. And then I asked my pastor, like, what's the difference? And he told me what the difference between the parties are at. And without putting all these Democrats down, he just simply told me this is what the Democrats believe. This is what they've always believed. And if you vote Republican, you're voting for the lesser of two bad parties. So you got to vote or you'll be ruled by those that do. I heard that on Cornerstone Television, which is a Christian broadcasting network. Okay, I've heard that all my life. Vote or be ruled by those that do. Even if you vote for an evil that might be the lesser of the evil, you got to pick your evil, is basically what you're saying, because one of these is going to win. It's not like if you don't vote, there's going to be a no vote policy or a no vote no. One of these parties is going to win. Who do you want to win? Let's say there was a Christian party that was strictly Christian and nothing, no leaven in it. It was just Christian. Yes, I would pick that party before I pick the Republican Party. But because I'm a Christian, I'm going to pick the lesser of two evils. Now, if there was a such thing as a Christian party, and I really don't give a rat's behind whether it's a Baptist or a Pentecostal or more on, I would pick the Christian party. Because the fact that a party is a Christian party, if it has anything to do with the Bible at all, it's going to be better than both the Republican and the Democratic Party. But we don't have a Christian party, so me as a Christian, I have to pick the Republican Party, because the Republican Party, unless you're an idiot, the Republican Party is the lesser of the two evils. Now, there are people that have always been on the left side of things, and they've always felt that America by nature is unfair, whether because of black slavery for a lot of black folks or because a lot of white folks want to control the government, and as well as many black folks and other minorities. Everybody wants to control the government. Okay, you got two people who vote Democrat. Okay, you got Democrats who have always been on the liberal side, if I'm saying that right. And you have Democrats who have always been victims of the Democratic Party, where they think they don't even want to begin to try to think outside that little box. It's a big box, it's a broad gate. They don't want to even think about thinking outside that broad gate. So there's two that will vote Democrat. People that are racially okay and what's the word for it? Racially and liberally bound. And then you have people that have always been pagan as far as what politics in this country is always about. They've always took the left side, and even though they know that the better side is going to be Republican, they feel that the left side is better because it's the side of the people who want to speak out against America, and everybody has that right. Okay, the Republican Party is more about letting America be in control of America. Democrats and liberals, they're more about letting the people control America. But in order to do that, and this is what we love about Donald Trump, somebody has to make a distinction of what that means. What is that? What does it mean for us to let America run America? That means our culture, which brings us to, yes, that brings us to whiteness. Y'all got a problem with. Okay? That brings us to a side of whiteness that is not bound by slavery or bound by any type of racial or prejudice behavior. It's bound by the fact that white people have always been in a better situation than the people that they enslaved or the people that they allowed to come over here as immigrants. Okay? They've always been better. And it's a fact. Okay? Sure, slavery was wrong and all like that. But these same slave traders also raised their kids to go to college and come out of college, and their kids were prepared to work for a living when slavery was over. Their kids were taught that unless you want to be a slave yourself, because they weren't looking at slavery as just a black thing, but unless you want to be like these slaves, you're going to do this and that and the other to keep from being in that predicament. We feel sorry for black people, but we don't want to be in their shoes. So let's do what's right so we don't end up in that predicament. Who wouldn't want to not be in that predicament? What's wrong with white people not wanting to go down that rabbit hole with you? Sure, it was wrong for them. They agreed that their ancestors were wrong for slavery. They'll say this every day, all day, from the bottom of their heart. But it makes perfect sense why nobody wants to go down that rabbit hole. Okay, now you got those two. Now the people that voted for Donald Trump, there's two kinds of people that vote for Donald Trump. Okay, first of all, there are people who, first of all, believe in organic America. Like, we don't give a rat's behind that blacks are not satisfied with what they're offered when they're offered the same thing that everybody else is offered if they can handle it. We don't care. Just during this deportation, and people are so dumb, they don't see the truth coming out. They don't see it. When Latinos, Mexicans, or people that have crossed the border go out and protest using their own flags from their own country to protest, when people for Ukraine or for Gaza or whatever, they go and march against us. They go and protest against us because they want America to stop Israel. And then there's Israelites who think that, America should be doing more. But most Israelites are trained and taught in their culture not to ask America for anything. Okay? And that's the way they were taught in the Bible as well. Okay? You're not seeing this. But the thing is, the two kinds of people that will vote for Trump believe in organic America. They believe regardless of slavery, regardless of whatever injustices that we've done to other nationalities, minorities, and all like that, we can be forgiven for that. We can fix that. We can overcome that and move on. Okay? But we're not going to stop being white people. We're not going to stop being Americans. We're not going to stop being people that come over here from other countries, and we like white people. We get along with white people. We work together side by side with white people. We're not going to stop doing that because some minorities think that America owes them something that they'll never ever be able to pay. Okay? America does not owe you reparations. They gave you freedom. Now, it's your choice to learn. If you don't know, then maybe you should ask somebody. There's lots of white people that are willing to give you this knowledge. But we're not going to give you reparations because you're black. We're not going to give you reparations because you feel that your ancestors have went through some injustice. Your ancestors wasn't looking for reparations. They had them. They had their own. They made them up for themselves. They built their own communities, in case you didn't know that. And they had their own real estate and all like that. Way more than y'all got today. Okay? There might be more billionaires. It's going to sound weird, but there might be more millionaires and billionaires in the black movement today. And still getting out there as millionaires and billionaires talking that racial garbage. Money is the whistleblower in all this. If you got the money to live better than a white man, shut your racist mouth up. There ain't nothing racist going on for your little rich behind. Okay? Just stop it. Now, but back then there were more wealthier black people because black people taught black people how to spend money, and black people taught people how to put money back into the community. Now, if I was born years ago, instead of the 80s like I was, if I was born maybe back in the 60s, well, I was born in 1966, but if I had been an adult back in the 1960s, maybe I would feel more, glued to the black community. But then again, I think by now, in the 2000s, I think I would definitely be like a lot of black Democrats. I would be making my turn for the Republican Party, because black people are not the same black people that were born the same time I was born. These are a different breed of black people. That they're going through some things that are just black and nothing else. They're not any other race but black, and it's a bad idea that black folks have come up with, using racial pandering and racial baiting and all this stuff. They come up with these crazy ideas. I don't want it around me. I'm glad I made my walk away early in the minute I graduated from high school, I made my walk away. And then I made my walk away again when Bill Clinton was in office, and I needed to know what was going on here, and my pastor trained me, my white pastor, yes, it was a white pastor, okay? He trained me to be Republican. Now, the other kind of people that vote for people like Donald Trump, and you've seen it, it's a disgrace, but people that have issues, there are sick people on both sides, people that don't get it on both sides of the track. There are people that voted for Donald Trump, and they have not repented of their racism. They have not repented of their white nationalism and all like that. But they vote for Trump because they know that, because they feel, this is what they feel if it wasn't for organic America, okay, and if it wasn't for the new black, it wasn't for the other races coming in here, when when you allow yourself, I can understand if black folks are upset because they feel like black folks are getting shot up as a personal thing. They're making it personal about shooting black guys up. They can't wait for a black person to get pulled over for speeding so they can shoot him up. Okay, if that's the way you think, maybe I can sympathize with that a little bit. Just a little bit, because most of the time he didn't just get pulled over for speeding. He did have his hand on a gun. He did have his hand on a knife. He did resist arrest. He did get in a physical fight with police, or he did try to drive off while the police were trying to arrest him. He did run off or whatever. He did make it dangerous for other people that were around when the police were making an arrest and all like that and so forth. Okay, what happened to Sandra Massey? I agree. That was wrong. Okay. What happened to Trayvon Martin? I agree. That shouldn't have happened. Okay? The white cop told the Spanish boy to keep his butt in the vehicle. He did his part. They would take it over from there. He didn't listen, and Trayvon Martin got shot. So that wasn't a matter of white cops shooting a black kid. That was a matter of a Spanish dude in his racial attitude towards blacks. He shot the black man, but black folks marching like what's his name, Zimmerman, was white. He was not white. He was Latino. Okay, the same kind of crap that we got going on right now. These are the kind of people that get deported by Donald Trump. People that come over here and they got these racial feelings against Americans, and some of them, mainly blacks more than others, but they don't like Americans. They just want to do something because they're not happy here, okay? But again, the other kind of people that, in George Floyd, I understand that George Floyd didn't need to, the whole, knee in the neck thing. Yes, I do believe that, he should receive the maximum sentence for doing such a thing. And not just him, what was his name, Darren or something, Cradle, whatever his name is, that killed Trayvon Martin. Now, I disagree with Jesse Lee Peterson on that. Trayvon Martin wasn't killed because he, not Trayvon Martin, George Floyd wasn't killed because of he was a drug addict. It was easy to kill George Floyd because he was a drug addict. Okay? So Derek Chauvin, that's it. Derek Chauvin was given a maximum sentence for that. Well, that's not good enough, black people. I really don't care. Cry me a river, because George Floyd was a career criminal. Now we got that understood. Some of the killings of blacks are, to me, any time you kill somebody that didn't injure anybody or kill anybody, okay, it's tragic. I don't believe you should kill somebody because they sell drugs. You shouldn't kill somebody just because they resisted arrest. Sometimes it's better to let somebody run and get away and catch them from another angle than to put yourself in a predicament to have to kill them, okay? But I'm not going to, one thing I won't do with you black folks is I won't sit here and act like, oh, don't touch black folks, it's always going to be a race car thing. No, it's not. Okay? And like Donald Trump said out of his own mouth, he said they kill white people too. Of course, they might kill blacks more. That seems obvious, but they kill white people too. So why did they kill this white person and not many white people? You got to ask yourself, why this particular white person and not many white people? Was it because he was trailer trash, or was it because he was dangerous, or was it because he had a big mouth, or was it because he was acting black? What was going on? Okay. Anyway, in closing, the other people that, you're going to have white nationalists, like you're going to have, the Shepherd guy. And I listened to a documentary on the Proud Boys. I don't see nothing wrong with the Proud Boys. I'm sorry. And the dude that's the leader of the Proud Boys is not white. That dude is not white. He looks more Indian. Matter of fact, he has an Indian flag somewhere on his clothing or something like that. He's from the Middle East. That guy that's part of the Proud Boys. And now most of the guys that are with the Proud Boys are white, but their leader is from the Middle East. So stop the white crap, okay? Know some people before you call everything white. But the Proud Boys, and then that situation that happened in Ohio recently, where those guys got chased off a bridge by black folks and cops. The cops and the black folks got together and got those guys off the bridge. And the black folks were justified for going up to the bridge and standing up for their town because it was an all-black town, and these guys want to come over there. Yeah, that's race. Now, that's racism. When you go into an all-black town and you try to leave a message in that town, I guess you want their town. You want them to move out of town or be threatened to get out of town or whatever. Yeah, that's racist. But a lot of people will support Donald Trump because the same stupidity that you think that Donald Trump would send black people back to Africa, these people are stupid enough to think that if they support Donald Trump Donald Trump enough, that he might actually send enough brown people back to Africa for crimes or whatever. Their sickness is the same thing as those who think that Donald Trump got a problem with black people, or Donald Trump is planning on deporting black people or whatever. It's the same sickness. Now, in closing, you have to be a certain kind of person to vote for Donald Trump. What you have to be is you got a person that understands what America is without all the new stuff like the LGBTQ party, the new Democratic Party. There's a lot of new stuff going on in the Democratic Party that we would never imagine they would have never done years ago. This is a new Democratic Party. It's not even a party, it's an agenda. Trust me. This is all breaking the way. As a Christian, I'm going to tell you, this is all paving the way for the Antichrist. This Democratic Party, this is just paving the way for the Antichrist. That's what it does. It's an agenda. It's no longer just a party. It's an agenda. This is why even if I wasn't concerned about certain issues for our country, okay, I would still go with the Republican Party because I can see the agenda going on with the Democratic Party, okay, even if I never, been taught better, okay. By now I would know better and I would have to opt out, but, and I did opt out of the Democratic Party. Now, you got to be the kind of person to vote for Donald Trump. And the kind of person that you have to be is a person that, number one, understands that moral values are above everything. Okay? And that traditional America is better. So you got people that voted for Donald Trump. And a lot of these people that are KKK and Proud Boys and all these different groups, Antifa or whatever. Now, from what I understand about Antifa, the Proud Boys talked about Antifa. Antifa and the Proud Boys do not get along. They're not the same. Antifa is Democratic. Proud Boys are Republican. Antifa Antifa's out there to fight for the Democrats. They're out there to fight for liberals. They want rights for liberals, but they want rights for liberals. They want rights for liberals under a certain narrative, under a certain dynamic, where a lot of liberals are not going to become that patriotic or that, going to give that much homage, okay, to the Antifa group like that. But the Proud Boys are just out there to talk about, Now, to me, nobody needs to be protesting, okay? Not a Christian, not an abortionist, not a person against abortion. Nobody needs to be out protesting on the streets anymore. This is 2025. Everything can be done on the internet, and it is. And everything can be done by getting your local branches to sit down and talk about these things, and you get this all on videotape so you know what's going on. That's how you protest. You don't protest by blocking the street, protesting in front of buildings, putting your hands on other people, blocking traffic. Okay, to me, I say spray everybody with pepper spray and send them home, or send them to jail and then send them home. That's the way I say. Nobody needs to be out there protesting. Nobody. If you stop the KKK from rallying and being out there protesting and causing trouble, you'll never know who's KKK, because there's no way for them to show that they're KKK. Same thing with Proud Boys or Antifa or anybody else. Keep them off the street. If I was Donald Trump, that's what I would do. Everybody from these people, from the Proud Boys to Black Lives Matter to the frickin' Hebrew Israelites, would none of them be on the street? Okay? In other countries, they don't have this problem because they take everybody off the street, including Christians. And to me, a Christian plugging in a microphone and letting his voice be the loudest thing on the street, I don't know if that's right or not. Maybe he thinks that's okay because he's a godly Christian. I don't know if that's right. Where's that in the Bible? I don't know if that's right or not. But I support those that do it because they're Christian. But is it right though? I don't know. Because I'm willing to give up that freedom and that right in order to keep all these protesters off the street. Because these protesters on the street is where all the violence and crime is going to happen. Okay? But people getting on the internet and talking about it, people getting, the White House talking about this, and Congress talking about this, and the Senate and the mayor and everybody getting together in panel rooms and talking about these things because of our silent and proper protests, whether we do them online or send letters, okay, or whatever we do, we get their attention. You're not getting their attention out on the street protesting. You're just causing hate and division, and eventually somebody's going to get hurt, killed, and somebody's going to get put in jail. Squash that. Let it go, okay? But the kind of person that you have to be a Trump supporter is too. You have to be a person that believes in the American culture that is totally the opposite and is taking you back to the 80s and beyond. You have to believe that's where America, make America great again, comes from. It's about taking us back to that place before LGBTQ, before BLM, okay, and before all these different groups, Antifa, Proud Boys, you know, and all the different ones started coming back out the street. They all went into hiding for a while because there was nothing to protest. Now they're back out on the street. And the sad thing is, a lot of these groups, when everything is peaceful, they want to be out there provoking people, and you don't need to do that. Let it go. But I'm a Republican, and I'm glad that I choose Donald Trump. First of all, I'm glad to be a Republican. I wanted Benjamin Carson to win. I was ready for Ted Cruz to win. Okay? But Donald Trump won, and I see why. Okay? Because people that are more, you know, direct according to what we need, they understood that Donald Trump was going to come in and he's going to bring the fire. So that's fine. Okay? But I didn't become a Republican. Get this straight if you don't understand nothing else I say. I didn't become a Republican for Donald Trump. I became a Republican when Bill Clinton was in office. Okay? I became, okay, supportive of Donald Trump. I'm a Trump supporter because, first of all, I'm a Republican. That's what I tell people. Oh, did you vote for Donald Trump? I said, Donald Trump was not my first pick. I'm a Republican first, and then I choose who I pick for president. I think Benjamin Carson could have done a good job, and it wasn't just because he was black, but I wanted him. He was one of the first people to stand next to Trump and say, "Hey, I want to be. I'll give the Republican Party a shot." And I gotta admit, he was real slow. He was almost like Joe Biden when it comes to getting his speech out there and saying what he wanted to say. And then when people would question him and all like that, he didn't have snappy answer. He wasn't motivational like Trump. So, you know, but I think that him and Trump are like spot on and 100% agreement about what needs to be done for the country. Okay? But I'm a Republican first, a Trump supporter second. Okay? But my point is, I pray for those that don't understand, because all this, the same problem that we're having with people hating on Trump, it's the same problem that we're having with people hating on Christianity and hating on wealthy people. And have hating on conservatives. Let me say that again. The same problem we have with people hating on Donald Trump is the same problem we're having with people persecuting Christians. The same problem we're having with people hating on conservatism and rich people. Okay? And anybody that would try and make laws against somebody that makes their money legally, I don't care if they make trillions of dollars. I don't care what their net worth is, okay? Anybody that would hate on somebody just because they're rich, they would make up policies. I had a friend that I used to work with that went after rich people. I said, what if the rich people were Christians? He said, oh, I definitely don't make it right. I'm like, what? Where's that at in the Bible? Okay? And he was like, I was like, well, what's wrong with what did Donald Trump do that he's not allowed to be rich? Why are you going after rich people? He says, I don't know what Donald Trump did other than what I hear in the news. But he said, oh, I'll figure out something. That's exactly what he said. Oh, I'll figure out with something because nobody has a right to be rich. The Bible says charge the rich. I said the Bible says charge the rich, but it doesn't say rich don't have to have a right to be rich. And after you get done charging rich, you're still going to be richer than you. So what's the point? Okay? But he was like, he just hating on the rich because he thinks nobody has a right to be rich with all these Jesus people around here. That's like saying God don't have a right to live in heaven and Jesus don't have a right to be on the right side of God in heaven with all these miserable, suffering people down here on the earth. Like, come on, man, give me a break. Okay? That's a bad spirit on your part, and you need to leave that at the altar. You really do. But I'm glad that God made me that kind of person. I'm glad that I grew up in the church, and I'm glad that I handled my problems between blacks and whites, that whole racial garbage, that whole race baiting crap. I gave up my race card back when I was a teenager. I gave up my race card. I gave up my race card back in 1985. Okay, I became a Republican in early 2000, somewhere around there. I became a Republican. Right after I divorced my wife, I became a Republican. But I was Democrat up until then. But right after I divorced my wife, I became a Republican. Because then I began to become concerned about it. And there's just things that come out of black folks' mouth and stuff that's being said in the black church today that ain't got nothing to do with the church and ain't got nothing to do with the Bible. Okay? Black folks and white folks read the same Bible, and when they die, they're going to go to the same heaven. And I guarantee you, everybody's not going to have equal rights in heaven. There's going to be probably, I hate to say it, probably going to be more white people up there than black people. Not because Jesus loves white people more, but because more white people are staying true to the letter and not being pulled away from what God has called us to be and practice. They're not being pulled away from that by politics and racial retaliation and all like that. If you can't forgive the white man for slavery, and if you think the white man owes you something, you will either not make it to heaven or you'll be the most miserable in heaven. I don't know how God's going to work that out, but he's not going to create new black people to make up for all the black people that didn't make it. Okay? When I think about the fact that I'm sharing the same Bible and the same God with white Christians, and that when I go to heaven, I might be outnumbered again by a whole bunch of good white people, good conservative white people. In heaven. In the New Jerusalem. I can't afford. What if I go up there and everybody's got white friends because there ain't enough black folks up there, or there's not enough Indian folks up there? Islam is still the number one most popular, has the most members in the entire world. Matter of fact, every other country has Islam in it, including America. But America probably has the lowest mosques in it than any other country. You got Islam everywhere, in every country, continent of Asia, Africa, as well as the Middle East. It's everywhere. They're everywhere. Okay? Everywhere you go, there's Muslims. There's more Muslims everywhere else outside the United States. There are more Muslims there than any other religion, except for India. There might be more people that practice Hinduism than there is that practice Islam, but they practice Islam and Hinduism in India, as well as any other Indian territory, you name it, Asia, Islam is like the second largest religion in the continent of Asia. There may be more Buddhists than Islamics, but what I'm saying is that the world is a lot smaller than you think, but yet it's bigger than you think, because Democrats think that it's this way, it's this way, it's this way, and this way, and that way. No, it is you trying to come to that place to where you're willing to accept your fate. See, I accept my fate and my faith. I accept my fate and my faith. And my faith tells me that I'll never get away from white people. My faith tells me, my fate and my faith tell me that God is going to forgive white people for a lot of the things that they've done wrong to me. So therefore I have to forgive them as well. Okay? I'm going to stop there. But Donald Trump, you have to be, the fact that you have to be a certain person, you have to be broken and wake up from, the sleepy Democratic, say so all this time, okay, lets me know that it just goes to show us how much trouble our world is in, how much trouble America is in, and it lets me know that we are in the last days, and that, I'm going to cling and hold on and rely and trust in Jesus Christ more than anything else, more than even the color of my own skin. I'm going to rely on Jesus Christ, because when I get to stand before God, okay, hate to bust your bubble, Hebrew Israelites, but he was never black. Jesus was never black, neither was God. Okay? And when I stand before Jesus, okay, in the kingdom of heaven is going to be for those that were the most honest and trustworthy here on earth. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. That's the Bible. Okay? So, if you ain't got your racial problems correct here on earth, you won't have them correct in heaven either, or you just simply won't make it to heaven. I don't know if you can go to heaven, going to heaven thinking white people owe you something, going to heaven with a chip on your shoulder. That might be a sin that doesn't lead to death. That might be a sin that God will forgive you for and let you into the kingdom of heaven. But hating on white people, I don't know if God's going to let you in with that kind of attitude. Besides, if he did let you in, it's going to be like hell, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of white people up in heaven. A lot of them. Okay? Because there's been more white believers since white people founded Christianity. They didn't create it like a lot of people say they do. They founded it. We dropped it and let it go and persecuted the Jews and created our own nonsense, and the white man picked it back up. Okay? And they picked it up in England. English people picked it back up. And so you had two different religions going on in England around the time that the Bible was written. You had two religions, or maybe more than that were being, built, and that was biblical Christianity, and then there was Catholicism and a whole bunch of other religions, okay, and maybe some others that were popular, okay, but biblical Christianity started in England when English people picked it back up where us brown-skinned folks dropped it off. Okay, they picked it back up and began to believe in it and adhere to it and practice it. And because of the persecution of the Christians, and because of the battle between Christianity and Catholicism, okay, they brought Christianity to the United States, trying to escape the Vatican and Catholicism. Okay? And America was founded on those principles. Sure, a lot of people was pledge allegiance to the flag, and even in school, pledge allegiance to the flag of the Bible and all like that back in the day. But that didn't mean that most Christians really believed in God more than these atheists do today. They believed in God, but they didn't believe in the God of the Bible. They didn't believe in the Jesus of the Bible. They believed in something else. And other things like Catholicism, Hindu, Buddhism, Christian Scientists, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and a lot of other things. But we have our Bible. And nowhere in the Bible do black people stand out more than any other race. Dark-skinned people stand out. Brown-skinned people stand out. But everybody's not black. And the Jews are not black. I hate to bust your bubble. They're not black. They might have been darker complected back in the day. I think everybody was. But that didn't make us black or white. That made us what we really were. Okay? Now we just call it black and white, and that's an American term. But outside the U.S., everybody knows what they are. You could have two brown people that almost look like each other's twin, and they know exactly where they come from and exactly what race they are, and they have their own language. Their first language is not English. But it's only black folks that want to sit there because they have no country to go back to. It's not Africa. You can't go back to Africa. I mean, your people. It's not Africa. You have no country to go back to. There's a video I watched not too long ago called the 10 countries that are supportive of black travelers and black tourists. And then you realize where you come from. When you put it all together and you look at this list of countries and how they had their start, then you see that you did not necessarily come from Africa. You passed through Africa, you were dwelling in Africa, and you got taken as slaves. But it doesn't necessarily make you African. Okay? Let me get out of here. Thank you for watching D-Roy Cruz. Talk to you soon with more a little bit later in Jesus' name. Talk to you later. God bless. Thanks for watching.